I'm just so tired all the time. It's like I'm part bear. Just so tired. Hi friends, my name is Elizabeth Coyle. I'm currently working on the second draft of my 6th novel. It's a young adult fantasy. At the end of my last vlog, I counted the scenes that were left. I haven't even really begun Act 2. I just finished Act 1 for Draft 2. And there are approximately 25 scenes in Act 2. That number is the most approximate number you can imagine, because I also realized while I was counting the scenes that several of the scenes are just gonna have to go. I mean, they're just bad. So that was kind of overwhelming and I kind of stopped there at the end of the last vlog. But then I had this thought. So yesterday was Thursday, today's Friday. Yesterday I had this thought that I just had this idea for this scene that I could put into Act 1, a new scene. But not really a new scene, because when I was working on Act 1 of Draft 2, there was a scene from Draft 1 that I just completely cut, because I was like, this is an extraneous scene, it doesn't advance the plot at all, we don't need it, and so I cut it. Even though I kind of liked the purpose of that scene, it was just not necessary. But so yesterday I had this idea for a new scene, sort of with the same purpose, that I could re-input into Act 1. And I liked the idea of it. It kind of made sense more so with the world than my previous scene. And it gives me an opportunity to introduce that character that I keep having to cut from all of the scenes because I don't know how to introduce her. And I think this might actually be a very good way to introduce her into the story. She literally hasn't even been introduced yet. Every time I see her in a scene, I just cut her because I don't know how to introduce her now in Draft 2. So that's what I'm going to try to do. I'm just going to play. I don't even think I'm going to play in the document I'm currently working in. I think I'm going to play in my Draft 1 document of just chaos and notes and ramblings, and just kind of create or just see what happens if I start trying to like draft this new scene idea that I have had. Because I think it might be kind of fun, and I like it, and we're just playing. You know, that's what we're doing. We're just playing right now. So, that's my plan. So it is the next day. I did not do anything yesterday. I was not productive at all. But today will be different. I will get things done today. I did decide yesterday that I'm going to read through my notes for this story after I finish Draft 2 and before I begin Draft 3. My note-taking, I mean, it's just out of control. Like I tried to describe it to you last time. I don't think you believed me of how poorly I take the notes. But yesterday I was getting a lot of new ideas for the story, so I was just taking, rambling notes on my phone, and I realized, I literally take them everywhere. I was taking the notes yesterday in between notes that I had taken for my previous novel. Just randomly notes just all around the world. I take them, on grocery lists. I take them everywhere. It's a disaster. And it's going to take me probably a heck of a long time to go through all of the, secret little note places that I can find where I might have stashed in some excellent ideas. So that will be a task for after I finish Draft 2, before I begin Draft 3. Also, I wanted to tell you that I did finish The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley, and at the very, very end there is actually a tiny little modicum of hope. Just a little kernel. So, you have to slug through all of the badness to get there, but at the end, a little tiny bit of hope, which is nice, That's more than you get in a lot of adult novels. Alright, well, so far today I have filmed the YouTube video that's going to go up on Monday, and I did the rough chop edit of it, which was very productive. It's my video on why emotion falls flat in writing. It's a good one. I've just been totally avoiding writing today, though. I want to write today. I'm going to write today. My problem is, I'm scared. I got so overwhelmed. Every time I get to a point in a story where I have to, start adding a bunch of stuff, I don't know, I suddenly, lose my belief in myself as a writer. And that's where I am, because I know I have to go back and add these scenes. So, let's just do it. I have to do it. I gotta do it. Alright, so I'm finally writing. Am I working on that connective tissue between scenes 12 and 13? No. Am I playing around with the new scene idea I came up for Act 1? No. But I did add about 200 words to scene 12, because I had this idea yesterday about how to, elevate it, its focus and its tension. And I kind of like it. The scene's messy now. It was always messy. Everything's messy. But at least I did a little bit of writing today. The boys. It's the next day. Sunday. So yesterday I only ended up writing those like 200-ish words. Part of my problem is when the time changes like it just did, I get so tired. I'm just so tired all the time. It's like I'm part bear. My body wants to hibernate. And it makes it hard to be creative and focus on writing because I'm just so tired all the time. You know, like the sun starts looking like it's gonna set at like 3:30 in the afternoon, and then my body's like, okay, time to call it quits for the day. Go to bed. I'm having a rough time adjusting. But I guess I'm gonna try crafting that new scene idea that I had. I'm feeling less good about it today, but that could just be because I'm feeling less good overall. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm actually making progress. Alright, so it is the next day, it's Monday. Yesterday, I ended up taking a 2-hour nap in the afternoon. I mean, when that sun starts to lower in at 3:30, my body just shuts down. It's definitely a problem. But because I napped for so long, I was then able to work at the nighttime. Not great, messing up my sleep schedule. But what I was able to do was, I think part of the reason why I've been getting so stuck with this is I feel like internal resistance. And like my brain is saying, you know, write this scene, it's the right thing to do. But like my, you know, internal writer is saying, just something's not right. And I was not listening to it. But I think what was happening was my internal writer was saying, don't add this new scene that you've developed into Act 1 because it's still extraneous. So what I figured out last night to do was, I was going to do the math. Alright, I just did the math and I looked up the scene. So I added the essence of the new scene that I had developed. Initially that scene, you know, I had eradicated it from Act 1, and then recently I was thinking maybe I could put it back in and introduce that new character. But it still felt wrong, and I was getting the resistance from my internal writer who was saying, don't do this. So what I ended up doing was adding that essence to scene 9. I went back to scene 9 and I wove in like the essence of what that scene would have been. That scene, if it was a scene on its own, it would have been extraneous, and I could feel that rumbling inside of me. So I added it just as an essence to scene 9. I wove it into scene 9. I added approximately 250 words, which is not that bad. And I was able to introduce that character. So now she's introduced in scene 9, and then she can appear now in the rest of the story without constantly being cut because she just has popped up out of nowhere. So all in all, it was very, very productive. And now I am ready to begin re-looking at that connective tissue between scenes 12 and 13. And I decided what I'm going to do is I'm just going to write that scene little tidbit however it feels right now, and then worry about it in the future. Because this draft is all about onwards and upwards. I don't need to keep looking back. Looking back is what keeps slowing me down. So I'm just going to write out that scene however it wants to be. You know, it's abnormally long for connective tissue, abnormally short for a whole scene on its own. I don't know. Whatever it turns into is what it's going to be. And then we're just going to move forward. Something I also did yesterday was try to think of another way to explain to you how chaotic my note-taking is. Because I feel like I have not conveyed the chaos. But think of it this way. Organize it like this in your brain. This is how I take notes. I open one of my many, many notes on my phone. For some reason, they are not categorized at all. Sometimes when I'm taking notes on my phone, I create a new note. Sometimes I type into old notes. I literally have like 15 notes. No organization. But another one of my problems is I never want to start typing at the top of the note. And so I always just go down into the middle of the note somewhere between two random sentences and start typing in my new note. Why do I do that?
It makes no damn sense.
That's how I end up writing notes in between notes for previous novels, and in between grocery lists and poems and phone numbers and all kinds of crazy stuff. And then my notes are just everywhere on the planet and I never find them again. I guess it's like a little bit of a treasure hunt for myself in the future. I could save a lot of time if I didn't do that, but yeah, that's what I do. I never start taking notes at the top of the note. I always do it somewhere randomly in the middle. Never at the bottom, always in the middle. I made some carrot lentil stew. I will link the recipe below. It's very delicious. But the recipe calls for 2 carrots, and I put the whole bag of carrots in because I don't know what to do with all those other carrots when I buy a bag. They just sit there and rot. So it turned from lentil stew into carrot lentil stew, and I had a little bit of cayenne. But yeah, it's very tasty. You should try it. Alright, so I don't know what happened. I went into a blanket and then suddenly it was 5 days later. I don't know, I like went into a little cocoon and I fell asleep and I didn't wake up for 5 days or something. But I did not emerge a beautiful butterfly. I am still just a very tired lady. But I ended up adding 60 words to the transition between scenes 12 and 13. Next time, hopefully I'll be more alive, working on scene 13.